What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some very interesting NBA news currently that is going around right now, actually revolving around Victor Oladipo and the Indiana Pacers / New York Knicks. For those of you who haven't heard about this, Victor Oladipo actually turned down a 4-year, $80 million contract extension offer from the Pacers per Ian Bagley. Teams are now monitoring his situation in Indianapolis. So again, this is extremely interesting. It kind of brings up some debates on, well, why didn't they offer him the max? Is he worth the max? With all his injuries and all that type of stuff, what's a player like Victor Oladipo really worth now? Considering he hasn't exactly came back, in my opinion, he's actually done really well since coming back. I think that, yes, he's not going to average 20 points or anything like that. It's just literally not going to happen. Like, he's probably had a 20-point game here and there. But averaging that real consistency with the type of injuries and stuff that he has had are going to be, I think, a very interesting thing, and probably will most likely not happen for the time being. So currently he's actually averaging 13.8 points per game, 3.2 rebounds and 3 assists on 30% from 3. And that is in about 25 minutes per game, 25.9. He's played 13 games and he started 10, so he's gotten back into it. And you compare that to his previous season, which, you know, his previous season before that and the season before that as well were also like his two best ones. You know, he was averaging 18.8, and the season before that, he was averaging 23.1. So, again, it's going to take a bit of time, I would think, for him to really get back on it. Again, he's 28 years old, so it's not like he's extremely young or anything like that. But yeah, it will take somewhat of a time for him to kind of get back into it. But obviously, a couple other teams now are really monitoring how he is going and what's potentially going to be the future with Victor Oladipo. For example, we've heard a lot of Miami Heat rumors that the Miami Heat could potentially be a team that could go for him. But now we've got recent reports coming out right now that the Knicks will make an aggressive offer for Victor Oladipo. And this is being reported by Ian Bagley yet again. So, yeah, Victor Oladipo to the New York Knicks could definitely happen. Now, I have talked about it previously that there is a big rumor going around right now that the New York Knicks could acquire Chris Paul. Chris Paul obviously is currently playing with OKC. He's actually had a really good season. I mean, he's probably one of the best point guards in the league as of now, and he's just getting really better and better with age, it does look like, when his injuries are kind of worrying him out of it. And yeah, he's had a really good season with OKC. Well, they don't obviously want to compete really anytime soon. It looks like they want to, you know, continue to go and do their thing and all of that type of stuff. So it looks like they might be wanting to trade Chris Paul. Chris Paul could then potentially get traded to the New York Knicks as well. Now, the Knicks have been building a young core for a couple years now. They haven't really made too much progress. I mean, they've been rebuilding for like years upon years, but they started the main one in 2016 where they got Kristaps, and they'd get Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, and then they'd get Kevin Knox. Well, out of all those players, none of them work for New York. You know, Kristaps isn't even playing for them anymore. Those three young players have barely done anything. And then you got RJ Barrett this year, who's looking like a pretty solid player. I think if, you know, he will most likely play at small forward, then they could run with a real interesting and potential big three of Chris Paul at point guard, Victor Oladipo at shooting guard, and then RJ Barrett at small forward. I think that would be an extremely interesting team. Now, will they try and trade for Victor Oladipo? I believe he's actually going to be I don't know if he's going to be a free agent this offseason or when he's necessarily going to be a free agent, but I'm sure they could try and work some sign and trade or something into it. Now, of course, he turned down a 4-year deal that was 80 million, so that's 20 million a season. What I think the Knicks should potentially offer is a deal that's maybe 23 to 25 million a season. I'd probably say that's what Oladipo's worth. I think he's probably just under a max play because, yes, he had that really good season and had that really good playoff series against LeBron, but he did regress a little bit from that in the next season, and then he's had a bunch of injuries since then, and yeah, he's just kind of getting back into it. But I think that would be a really interesting team. Imagine if the New York Knicks just, you know, whipped out, let's just say they took James Wiseman in the draft. I've talked about this before, but yeah, let's just say they took James Wiseman. He'll be their new starting center. Then they'd have a potential starting five of Chris Paul, Victor Oladipo, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and James Wiseman, with a real interesting bench as well. A couple of those young players could still be on there, like players like Alonzo Trier, etc. But then they could also roll out players like, you know, Mitch Robinson, etc. off the bench. And if you ask me, that is definitely, obviously, that's going to be a playoff team in the East. I mean, Victor Oladipo, Chris Paul, RJ Barrett, and Julius Randle, and James Wiseman. Like, are you kidding me? There's, like, no doubt about it that that would most likely be a playoff team in the East. And I think, yeah, that's what it's most likely going to be. And I think, yeah, they could definitely finish top 6 or something like that. Again, they still have a really young team and they need to get that bench sorted. But that starting 5, that is pretty sick if you ask me. But obviously, yeah, if they do a sign and trade maybe with Oladipo, contract extension / trade, or if they're just going to sign him, I definitely don't really know what they're going to be doing. But again, I just really like the fact that the Knicks are finally starting to look at players that they could potentially get. I mean, Durant and Irving, were they ever really going to go to the Knicks? Apparently, they weren't ever going to go to the Knicks. But players like Chris Paul, if you tell Chris Paul, hey man, we want to get you to the Knicks, we want you to build a culture and build some chemistry, and we'll give you a team that will consist of Victor Oladipo, who is another all-star caliber player, and a bunch of young players like this, and obviously Julius Randle, who they could look to potentially trade for maybe another max player if they really wanted to. Again, I think Chris Paul would definitely like to be traded to the Knicks if that was a big case, and Oladipo would obviously very much like, I think, the Knicks as well. But honestly, I think there is still a massive chance that Oladipo and the Indiana Pacers do get a deal done. I just can't really see him, leaving the Indiana Pacers like that. I think he is probably more loyal, I'd probably say, than Paul George at this point. But again, you never know. He could literally just ditch like Paul George did, and it could be another disaster for the Indiana Pacers. And I think Indiana are definitely going to start questioning themselves if they've had Oladipo leave as well. Because, yeah, then they'd have pretty much their best player, like, 10 years in a row, that one of their best, a couple of their best players have all left, and all of that type of stuff. So, again, that would be a very, very sad thing for the Indiana Pacers. But if you're a New York Knicks fan, this could be a very, very positive thing for you guys. But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the latest NBA content and NBA news. Definitely comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? Do you guys think Victor Oladipo is going to join the New York Knicks? Do you guys think Chris Paul is going to join the New York Knicks, etc.? I definitely would really like to know your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. But as I was saying, also don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channel. Links for them are in the description down below. And check out my podcast as well if you haven't already. Links for that will also be in the description down below. But as I was saying, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.